think about Buffalo at this moment?
Buffalo is a team where they are very much teetering the line of contender and just another playoff team. That's where I'm at with them because I think they're more just another playoff team than contender. Because you see the Bills and they win games like that game that they win against. They just got against the Bengals. They got to come back win. But you watch that game, and it's like this team. I don't think they're built for January with their this current roster. Like the weapons aren't that great. The defense is bend but mostly break. It's just you can't rely on Josh Allen to do the Superman gimmick every single game. And his pretty much they go where James Cook and Josh Allen go. If them two are off, then the whole shebang is done for. So honestly, if I had to put the Bills in, like they're in the tier with them teams you don't really expect to make any noise. Like honestly, I'd say that I put them in the tier with the Jags. Honestly,
Okay, that's an interesting take. The Bills are an
I put them
interesting
above the
case.
Jags just because Josh Allen is Josh Allen.
The Bills are an interesting case in the sense that I can't really say much. Like, yes, I do agree. I've said this before the season. I don't like their personnel. I think they're very heavily Josh Allen and James Cook dependent. But overall, it really comes down to the playoffs for me with this team because looking at the rest of their competition, um, you could very well say that the Bills they have just as much of a chance as any other team in the AFC, given their experience and how many times they've been in the dance. They just weren't able to overcome the Chiefs. But man, they are number 6, but as long as they're in the dance, they have a good enough chance as anybody in this scenario. But they're not a perfect team. But man, I'm just saying, like, don't. I wouldn't necessarily count out the Bills, and I don't think you were necessarily saying that. But man, anybody that's counting out the Bills, I would just pause for a second and think to yourself, what team in the AFC is on the caliber of just the previous Chiefs teams that have made the playoffs, and what quarterback can replicate some of the things that Patrick Mahomes was able to do against the Bills? Because you got to remember, most of the times the Bills haven't had all that good of talent, and yet Josh Allen has been able to pull a rabbit out of a hat and nearly come up victorious against the Chiefs team that has notoriously been really good in the clutch. I'm just curious in these playoffs, regardless of how mediocre the Bills roster is this the year where, despite the fact that they don't have home field advantage at the moment, can they go on the road and win against any team, regardless of just the limitations on offense and defense? Because, again, they're not going up against the Chiefs. They're not going up against one of these teams that are experienced in these moments. Because a lot of these rosters are very inexperienced. Denver, Patriots, Jags, Pittsburgh got a lot of old dudes. Buffalo will beat up on Pittsburgh like they always do. Chargers are another example where, yeah, every so often they'll be in the
Chargers might fall
playoffs.
out the playoffs.
That is true, but like the Chargers, every so often they'll be in the playoffs, but like they're wild card and out, like they're first round and out, and then Houston as well. So I'm just curious. Like, yes, Buffalo, the talent doesn't measure up to these other teams, but when this as much as I do, playoffs are about moments, playoffs are about adjustments, and Buffalo has been in these situations, and I just think we cannot rule out Buffalo regardless of how talentless they are compared to the other teams.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that premise because it is Josh Allen at the end of the day, and we have seen them overachieve with lesser rosters in previous years. But if you want to look for a team, I think that is on the tier of those former Chiefs teams. I'm pushing all my chips to the table. I invested in this team weeks ago on the episode. Houston Texans.